And I got a lot of like backlash from people who felt like I was glamorizing. And they said this exact term: "You're glamorizing sex work." And I'm like, well, from my perspective, it was pretty fucking glamorous. I mean, we drive really nice cars and we wear Chanel, and I have some really nice clients. Some of them are politicians. I don't know. It's kind of glamorous over here.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
Beducated.com teaches you real sex techniques using real people, not just diagrams and pussy puppets. Get 70% off an annual membership with code MANWHORE at beducated.com. That's code MANWHORE at beducated.com. Or click the link in the show notes. It's the vibrator that has no equal. And now, Motor Bunny offers their thrusting sex machine, the Motor Bunny Buck. Enjoy a fan whore discount at manwhorepod.com/motorbunny or use promo code manwhore at checkout. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Shout out to all the stripper tippers, the hooters cooters, and the sex work glamorizers. This is Billy Procida, and you're listening to the Man Whore Podcast. Whoa, I've got a doozy of a guest this week, everybody. I have got on the woman behind the thread, the inspiration for the movie, the Asia King, aka Zola. I am so excited to finally share my conversation with her, with y'all, in just a little bit. But first, I haven't said this since pre-panty, but show date? Singular? Yeah. Honestly, I would prefer all of y'all don't come. So that's why I'm ambushing you a day before. Tomorrow, Thursday, the 10th, I'm going to be in Hagerstown, Maryland, featuring at the Meinl-Schmidt Distillery at 6:30 p.m. Meinl-Schmidt. Am I performing for Nazis? I'm not really sure, but if I am, gosh, I hope no one's taking pictures. You know how it is. Cancel culture. We can't even perform for Nazis anymore. Wah! But yeah, I'm doing my first like legit road gig in the post-quar. I've done a few shows here and there, like here in New York City, 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there. Honestly, was not super excited to just get back out into the rat race of stand-up. I don't even know this world anymore. No, not like the world. Like, I don't know the stand-up world. I don't know where the mics are. I don't know where the shows are. There are all these names of people who moved to New York City during all of this, right? A lot of us left. There was an exodus. It was like, oh no, who can afford this rent? And there were a bunch of people who've been saving up from Cincinnati, like, now's my time. So we'll see how that goes. But hey, if you're in that Maryland, the Hagerstown area, feel free to come on out. I'll be the dude in the corner with a mask and a notebook looking terrified because I don't know if this is an open carry state. Maryland, it's one of those states. It's like south enough you see guns, but it's north enough I kind of feel safe. I remember pulling over in Alabama once to get gas, and I was like, I really shouldn't say the name Bernie Sanders out loud. Well, I'll let y'all know next week how it goes. Before I get to my guest this week, Zola, I want to read a couple of emails I got from y'all. The first one, very unexpected actually, a very unexpected update. Many of y'all tuned into episode 400 of the Man Whore Podcast, Whose Mouth Is It Anyway, where I I took a questioningly monogamous couple and I blindfolded the fella, and then I asked him to guess his girlfriend's blowjob out of a lineup. It's just the type of fun we like to do here at the Man Whore Podcast from time to time. Anyways, he wrote in, "Hey, Billy. Although it is probably a little unexpected, I thought I'd shoot you an email to give you a bit of an update on C and I since being guests on your podcast. I forget which fake name I gave her, so I'm just going to call her C. I feel like the podcast was a great experience for the both of us and really helped us to branch out and explore our relationship more fully. Last month, we decided on a whim to attend our first play party at a play party whose name I don't like to say out loud anymore, here in Manhattan. We were lucky to have gotten there a bit early with some other couples who were at about the same point in exploration as us, and went on to have one of my most enjoyable sexual experiences with someone who was not C. I had a hard time grappling with whatever societal implication there was in that, but I felt really loved and supported by C that night. Although admittedly, she said her first reaction was, "Shit, how do I do better?" Those who listened didn't know she's quite competitive sexually. She had some group and individual scenes as well, but it was clearly not as much her cup of tea as I think it was mine. We were lucky enough to have another weekend together a few weeks later, and we went back to trashy club name I don't say to try and understand better the things we both enjoyed about the first week. We unfortunately didn't meet anyone that we really connected with the second time, and while we played around a bit, it was lackluster compared to our first experience. She was looking for more of an emotional connection than she found on either of our outings, but she views them both positively. I may end up going back at some point by myself, because I'm curious how I would feel without her there. Since these adventures, C has found a coworker who has become both an emotional and intimate partner. I thought I would have a negative reaction to hearing about them having sex, but that really wasn't the case. We've had a lot of conversations through the process that has made me feel empowered and loved the whole time along. I am honestly happy she is enjoying herself, and I think it is a great example of compersion, a word you taught me. I trust her and she trusts me, and I think this whole process has only made us know and love each other more. She is currently finishing the book Polysecure, and I am just starting it, and it has helped us build a framework for these conversations as we move forward. I'm not sure exactly what other adventures await us, but the next big step for sure on the docket is YSW at Hedonism 2 in Jamaica this March. Ooh, Jamaica. Sincerely, from someone who is very grateful and more in love with his girlfriend than ever, Alex. Oh, don't we love that, everybody? Look, I took an almost monogamous couple. I slutted them up a bit. And look, they're off in the world going to fuck parties and having separate sexual encounters. Gosh, love corrupting the youth. Alex, C, I'm glad y'all are doing well. I'm glad you're thriving and figuring out ways to, enjoy a vast amount of pleasure, both with each other and without. That's what life's all about, babies. Let's do it. I got another message from a new Patreon member. She is a new member of the Peep Show, which is our super slutty, sex-positive, fun group chat we have for $10 and up members. Melissa writes, "Hello, Billy. This is Miss Melissa. Thanks for the shout-out. I wasn't expecting to hear it when I did. I blushed and gushed a bit. I'm super interested in getting past the velvet ropes of the Peep Show, so here I am. Also, I just want to thank you for all that you do on your podcast. I started listening to you last year when I was going through a dark time. I've been a sex worker for 7 years, and my personal life struggles a bit at times. I am such the Venusian, erotically charged woman. I would like to be proud and happy and open about what I do with my family and friends. Unfortunately, it's too much for them to handle, and so the lies are constant. It just fucks with my being and makes me feel shitty and fake. If only they knew I'm sparing them, and myself to be honest, the worry and the judgments I'm sure they don't want to have of me. Oh, the stigma. So when I came across Man-Whore and all its sex positivity, your openness, your interest in sex work, the honesty, the comedy, and awesome guests, it was the breath of fresh air I needed. You have coated me with all your charms, and I adore your soul. Thank you." And here's a little titty shake, to which once she got in the Peep Show, right? Boom, boom, boobs. Thanks to you for sharing the boobs with us, Melissa. I'm happy to keep sharing the show with you. And many thanks for supporting the pod with your doll hairs. Every dollar counts, people. And if you want to shoot me an email with your comments, your questions, your criticisms, maybe even your titty pictures, you can send any and all that over to manhorrorpod@gmail.com. Before I get to my guest this week, Zola, let's just do a quick fan whore appreciation moment. I'm in the mood. This is the part of the podcast where I like to give a quick shout out to some of the members of my fan whore community on Patreon. Right now, I want to say thank you so much to Evan Blaze, a new enthusiastic Peep Show edition. Buddy, keep rocking those outfits. Keep slinging that cock in the group chat. Thank you so much for sharing. Thanks for supporting the pod. And I also want to say a big thank you to Marcos Marty, a man who we'll say is well-traveled. He knows what I mean. Hope you caught an eyeful in the Peep Show while you were in there. Hey, you probably saw Blaze. The way he frames everything, it is quite an eyeful. Thanks again for supporting the podcast, man. And you too can join us in the Peep Show if you want, or just support the pod for $2 a month. You can do any and all of that on Patreon at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. And now for this week's guest, Zola. I probably a few months back, before the whole Omicron wave, while I was still going into movie theater things, I saw this. I told y'all I saw a movie called Zola, and I told y'all that it blew my dick off. It was hilarious. It was well written. It was well acted, and it was like such an absurd thriller, and it was also 100% believable to me, and it's very believable because it happened. The movie Zola is based off of a viral 2015 Twitter thread. She wrote this massive, 140 something tweet thread. This is before there were threads, and she was threading these tweets together to tell this crazy stripper story. Well, they ended up turning the story into a movie, and the movie is phenomenal. You can stream it now on Hulu. I think Showtime anytime as well. And I was very fortunate. I was tweeting at Zola, and she was going to be in town. I was like, "Hey, you want to come do a little podcasting?" And she was all about it. So much fun. I thought that was the big stripper story. That was her wild story. Turns out that was just the beginning of what she would end up calling the Thotyssey, which is cute name I like. Folks, y'all strap the fuck in. You're in for a treat. Let's go hear some wild stripper stories with the Zola. The Man Whore Podcast is proud to be sponsored by the Motor Bunny. Oof, long time I've been talking about the Motor Bunny. What has it been, 5-6 years I've been talking about this thing? It's the most powerful vibrator you will ever own. It's basically like a boat engine with a dildo on top. It's a ride-on-top saddle-style vibrator that just, holy shit. I own 2 of them. I have a huge fantasy of one day doing a dueling banjos with the vibrations, I get one Motor Bunny in me, she gets a Motor Bunny in her. We take each other's remote controls and we do a little this is an insane toy, and it's well worth the investment. Motor Bunny has given the Fan Whore Nation $40 off their order when they use promo code MANWHORE at checkout. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and nothing says I love you like a super powerful, sleek vibrator that you can even control with Bluetooth from your phone. No need to get up off the couch to get her off, you know what I mean? So one more time, use promo code MANWHORE at motorbunny.com, and then just shoot me an email and say, Billy, thank you. And I'll just be like, yo, you know what? You're not even welcome. Have a great time. motorbunny.com. Let's get to the show.
Yes, I was thinking I was going to maybe stay a couple more days. It's just...
Do it.
Every time I come to New York, I just never want to leave.
Yeah?
But I left the kids with my mom, so she's like, come get your kids, girl. Come get your kids.
This isn't a daycare.
Yeah, she's over it. She's over it.
Would you come out here to dance back before?
I've never danced here.
Yeah?
No, never.
There a reason for that? Is New York not a stripping mecca?
I You know what it is. However, for me, I've never tried to dance here because all the girls that I see that dance here are very shapely. Like the clubs are very like they like them like that. So I'm like, yeah, that's probably not my scene. It's not my audience. They don't want me in there. I don't think.
I have a minimal frame of reference. I've gone like for entertainment once to a strip club.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was 21.
Like ever?
Ever. Yeah. I mean, I've gone for like work, like a publicist will be like one of my porn chicks, so she's dancing. Can you want to come hang out at the table? But like to go, like get a dance and stuff. It was like,
what?
Yeah. I was 20 and like some chick I was sleeping with was like, I want to take you to first club. And it was like New Orleans. And she buys me a lap dance.
Ooh.
And I'm like very 21, respectful, nervous, being like, okay, don't want to get yelled at. I heard there were places I shouldn't touch. So I'm sitting there and I'm like keeping everything very like exterior, like the outside of the thigh. The outside of like the outside of a shoulder, right? And then it's done. I'm like, okay, whatever. I didn't have to pay for it, so I'm not mad.
Right.
And my friend, she goes, wow, she must have liked you because she let you touch a lot. And I was just like, if that's a lot, this isn't for me.
No way. What club was this? See, I danced in North Carolina. And it was like that. It was like a completely different lot. Because I started dancing in Detroit, obviously. Yeah. And so in Detroit, like, those clubs, they've kind of changed now, but it's like anything go. Like I would be giving dances and guys would be scared to touch me and I'd grab their hand like, put it here, like it's okay. But then when I danced in North Carolina, it was like absolutely not. Like we'd get fined like $500 if we let someone touch our inner thigh. Like if someone grabs your breast for too long, security would like kick them out. It was like intense. I was like, I can't dance here, honey. I don't know what's going on.
It's a fine to touch the inner thigh?
Yeah, it's a fine.
That's censorship.
I was like, what? And the girls were like, yeah, well, they still made money. But I was like, I don't understand it. Like, what's that? What's the point of getting a dance? There's like no contact. I'm confused.
On my side, I go like, that's just a lot of money to spend. Because not for nothing, a happy ending massage isn't that much more of a multiplier. At that point, I'd be like, if a dance is like 60, I'd rather pay 200 and get a hand job at the end of this.
And so it's like, and like I said, I started dancing in Detroit. So like that, we had VIP rooms and that's what was going on in there. For $200, you can go, handle your business. But yeah, other cities are just like completely different. I don't know.
When you first started stripping, like was it difficult to like take in all the rules and protocol and etiquettes and?
Not really. So I started.
Their handbook.
Right. No, just experience. I started dancing on my 18th birthday. Like on my birthday at midnight, I went to the club and was like, I want to dance. And he's like, how old are you? I'm like, 18 an hour ago. I want to dance. And he's like, okay. And he let me dance like that night. He's like, okay, you're cute. I'm like, okay. So I don't know. I kind of got the hang of it rather quickly. I had friends who were already dancing though. Since I was working like at Hooters, a lot of the Hooters girls danced at night. So, and I was like the youngest. They were all like 21 and 22. So I already kind of was a little versed on that realm.
Did you have like a bunch of, were there people you had like questions for, or did you just kind of be quiet and try to
I just observe. I'm an observer. I just like to act like I already know what I'm doing and then just learn like through the experience. But I never like had any questions for any of my friends. No, they just like tell me stories or tell me things and I just pick up on it. Like, so that's what I'm not going to do. Got it. Mm-hmm.
Was there anything that was like a huge shock to the system?
Dancing? Not really. I mean, I guess, like I said, I started dancing in Detroit, so I have to specify that because those clubs are so different than other clubs. Like, there really was no rules. So to see, like, you'd walk up to a guy and he'd like be like, oh, I just want to get straight to business. So just how much for me to, and I'm like, really? You can like sit, that's a thing in here? And the girls are like, yeah, just set your price, girl. I'm like, what? Okay. So that was a bit, I had to adjust to that. And then like just the price range, like the difference, like some girls would be like $50 for a blowjob. And I'm like, no fucking way. And then other girls are like $5,000, and I'm like, no fucking way.
You were also like, that's not fair either.
I'm like, what, can we meet in the middle, like a little 1,500 or something? I don't know, girl. Like, you guys are insane. Like, you guys know your clients.
Wow. Well, it's a good time to say right now, I'm sitting with the woman behind the threads, Zola.
Hello, hello.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's just wild. Like, I like that there was an upper price range. You were
Yeah.
like, I, in good conscience, could not accept $5,000.
I'm like, geez, for a
It would have to be at
blowjob?
least 2 blowjobs for $5,000. I don't want to rip
Can
you
I
off.
come a couple days this week? And you just like, I don't know. That was just, yeah.
It's wild. And do you still dance now?
No, I stopped dancing a few years ago. Like I said, I started doing the cam thing.
Sure.
So I was a cam girl after I had a little cam show after and I was making like more money than I did in the club. So I was just like, so I've been retired a few years.
Retired.
Yeah, she's a retired dancer. But I'll do like a one night only if I could be like,
Like a headliner.
right, put my name in lights or something. I'll bring
They do that though, right?
yeah, they do.
But and then you're doing porn now though. Also,
Yes.
you're doing OnlyFans.
Yes.
Part of the crew. You also started pandemic OnlyFans.
I did. I went from camming to the OnlyFans. I don't know, it was just more consistent, I feel like. When I was camming, it was like a tip-based thing. And then when I like really started posting on OnlyFans, it just like, it was a thing. And it was so much more consistent. And it was just like I was paying my bills on time. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to stay over here.
Yeah.
So,
And you hear about people who just like, some chick who's a mechanic, no following, and like in a week is making some money.
Yeah.
But you were already Zola.
Right.
At that point.
Yeah, it kind of that helped. That helps. They kind of just transferred over. I didn't know so many people wanted to watch me have sex, but I mean, they're loving being here. So
I'm pretty sure everyone who's been at the strip club and seen you naked was also like, I would also watch her have sex if that were available.
Right. Now they know.
Yeah.
Now they're over.
What was it like to go back to the clubs after the thread went viral?
So I was recognized like every time. The other entertainers, they actually like kind of they would give me flowers. They were very appreciative. They would always want to come and be like, thank you for sharing, a stripper, like a sex worker's story so candidly, but also so accurately. They were appreciative of that because a lot of times stories, whether in the club or not, just based on sex work period, they're not told from the perspective of a sex worker.
Right.
So they're always a little inaccurate and you can tell, or they're super just dramatized, or it's just so far from the truth. So anytime I'd go to the club, they would really, point that out and want to talk about that and like thank me for that. So I like it. Like I said, I like them giving me flowers.
Were clients recognizing you as well?
Yes.
Like, were you able to like charge a little premium, like the Zola premium?
Yes, and I would get clients who have been like my regulars for a long time. That's when I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. They would say to me like, please don't tell about any of our experiences, and I'm like, dude, they're like, you're told everything. Please just don't mention my name.
Don't tweet that was your version of like, please don't tell this on a podcast.
Right.
And that's wild.
Like, yeah, I won't tell. I probably will, but
It's so wild to me. I didn't even realize, because I saw the movie and first before I actually read the thread. Mm-hmm. And when I was sitting there in the theater, I was thinking two things. I was thinking, because you talked about how the girls said like, thanks for telling it like accurately and from our POV, but it was like, if you don't know any hoes in your life, this seems like a really awesome thriller movie. The heightening, like the movie really heightens and the story heightens and heightens as you went deeper into the night. But I was just like, if you know this world at all, it's either like you know this chick, you've heard of this chick, or you are this chick. Literally. I was like, it kept getting more insane, and at no point in the movie was I like, this didn't happen. Like I was always like, this is 100% believable based on the world I know. Right.
How was it for you to have watched the movie first and then the thread? I don't hear that often.
Well, I heard about the thread from finding out about the movie.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I'll check this out. And so like, it was actually cool to know it was real, because if I went to the theater and didn't know this was a real story, I would have just been like, oh, that they wrote a pretty wild, but like believable sex work story.
Yeah.
But like, it was cool to know that it was real. And then to see it afterwards was also wild. It's also weird to like read things as tweets.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's optioned a Twitter thread before.
Never. We didn't even know how to like go about it. They weren't sure how to like, how do you own tweet? Like, Twitter owns tweets. Like, how do you be like, we're about to make this a movie? They didn't know how to do that. And so, and it actually kind of bothered me because I'm like, well, push the envelope. Like, I'm the first. Make it a thing. Make me the first. But instead of pushing the envelope, they saved themselves by making the source material based off of the Rolling Stone article I did.
Okay.
Which it kind of bothered me in my spirit, but, you know, it was a
Why is
loophole.
that?
Well, because I didn't write the Rolling Stone article. I wrote the Twitter thread. So for my movie to say in the credits, based on Rolling Stone article written by David Kushner, I'm like, but he didn't. Right. You know, like, you see what I mean? So it bothered me for a while. It still does. Cause I'm like, why does he get so much credit? But they had to credit him because he's the journalist that wrote the Rolling Stone article. But I'm like,
why couldn't you option the, what was the logistical thing?
That's the thing.
Work?
I'm not sure what they just really didn't know how to own tweets. Like, who owns the tweets?
Give me a piece of paper and I will sign over my tweets to you.
Right.
Like,
I signed, not necessarily the tweets. I signed the story, so to speak.
Likeness rights?
Yeah. So, you know, when it comes to this story, they own it completely, which is totally fine because I have a million more. So they own the story in itself. So I was like, is that not enough? Like, I don't know. But yeah, that's how they went about it.
I also didn't realize, like, again, reading the thread or seeing the flick, I didn't even realize that there was, you know, you took some liberties in the thread, which I didn't realize till I read the Rolling Stone piece last. That was the last thing I saw. And I was like, oh, there was a little, okay. But then I was even more impressed because, like, now there's clearly craft to involved in here.
Yes.
You had done a couple drafts. You had put out the story. No one cared. And then you or it didn't take off in the way. And then you were like, let me add some sprinkle stuff. And boom.
And it's crazy because even with me, so the first time I told about that weekend was actually on like Tumblr. I used to run a nude blog. And back when you could be nude on Tumblr, the good days. Tumblr. I had came home and like the day I got home, I wrote about it, but I didn't write about, like, it wasn't funny. I was still kind of traumatized. And so I was just like I used to use Tumblr as like my diary. So think of me like writing in my diary. So everyone was like, oh, are you okay? Like, it was like that kind of energy. So then like 6 months later, I had told my Facebook family and friends, like, this really shitty experience happened to me. And same response. They were like, oh my God, are you okay? And so once I finally processed it, I was like, okay, I think now I'm gonna bring it to Twitter. Because Twitter takes nothing serious. Like, you could be like, the world's ending and Twitter's gonna be like, LMFAO, we're all gonna die. Like, okay, but no, for real. So I wasn't ready to laugh about it just yet. So once I got to that point, then that's when I told it on Twitter and they laughed about it. It happened.
But what were like some of the elements that were like not? What were the exaggerated portions?
So with her boyfriend, Jarrett, in the story, he did not jump off the balcony, but he did do the whole run and stop thing several times.
Oh, that's annoying.
And he did.
It's annoying.
He did, and he did slap himself and punch himself. He did all that, but he just didn't jump off. But he might as well. I mean, he was like running and stuff. We're like, oh my God, what's going on with you? So I over exaggerated that. No one got shot. There were guns in the room that happened, but none of them, they didn't shoot each other. That didn't happen. Honestly, that was it.
Yeah.
Everything else was pretty true to experience.
But even those things, it's like that was all super believable to me.
Right.
I was like, I could see that as a wild fucking week.
Yeah.
I've heard wilder weekends with cocaine involved.
No, for
I mean,
real.
Like,
me too.
You know, it's nuts. But they showed that there was like, you know, like craft and writing in there.
And that just really came from, since I was tweeting, I was like live tweeting this. Like this wasn't written anywhere. There was no like draft like I'm tweeting. I was tweeting. And so, you know, at that time, threads weren't a thing. And so, like, I just had to individually tweet. And while I was doing that, people were responding. And so I was it was almost like theater in a way. Like, I felt like I was doing, like, improv. Like, I had an audience. Because, you know, Twitter's, like, instant. So that instant engagement just, like, kept me going. I was like, oh, they want more?
You can see the likes. You see which part of the story they like more than the
right.
others.
And then people, like, I'd say one thing and they kind of wouldn't engage to that. And then I'd tell the next tweet and they'd be like, oh, yeah, elaborate on this. And so really the audience we like wrote it together almost. So, yeah.
What, during that trip, like, when did you first realize, like, fuck?
Definitely when well, it was a couple. At first, I was taken back when we went to that really shitty motel as soon as we got there. And it was like so nasty, like mold, roaches. I'm like, no way. So that was just my first, like, where the fuck am I moment. But when I knew I was fucked for real was when he asked us how much money we made after leaving the club. I'm like, no one has ever in my life asked me, besides like my homegirls, my dancer friends, when we're in the locker room, like, what'd you make, girl? What'd you?
Also, dude who gave you a ride.
Right. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of when I knew. And then obviously when he took our fucking phones, I don't even know if we included that in the film, but yeah, he took our phones when we got to the nice hotel after the club. He was like, I need your cell phones. I have new ones for you. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm fucked up. Yeah, this is bad.
How'd you think like this trip was going to end?
I knew I was going to get home for sure, just based off of the dynamic of all these relationships. I was like, I'm an observer. Mm-hmm. So I could tell like that I was like the smartest person in the room. It was very clear to me. So I'm like, oh, I can outsmart, like I'm getting home regardless. So at that point, I don't know, I guess I'm kind of like an adrenaline junkie in a way. I just wanted to see where it was going to go. Yeah. At some point, I was just like, and people often are like, why weren't you afraid? Like it's crazy to say, but like he didn't threaten me, if that makes sense. I don't know why. We just had this like understanding, especially once I like helped her make money. It was just like, I wasn't even on his radar almost. Like at that point, I was like helping him. It was weird, but I didn't feel threatened by him. So I don't know.
There must have been some sort of an understanding in his head of like, I don't own her. I own this one.
Right.
I don't own her.
Right.
And she's not going to let me own her.
Yeah. And I think he could tell, because even with the taking my phone situation, like I didn't fight. I mean, he's like 6'4". I'm not going to fight. Like take it. And so I think just with my calm demeanor, he's like, what's up with this girl? And then when he gave us the burner phones, like I said, they're so stupid. He's like, he wanted us to set them up ourselves. So she set hers up, and I just kept saying, my phone's not working. My phone's not working. And he went to the Walmart and got a new phone like 3 times. I never turned it on. Yeah. He's so I'm like, he's so stupid. Like, oh, I'm fine. These people are so dumb. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite parts of the movie is just like where in the stories where you realize like you're fucking for that. No. This is what we're charging. And then like everything blows up and more business comes in the more you charge.
Yeah. And right. And it was like that for real. Like I guess he set the price. He made the Backpage ad for the both of us. But like I said, anytime anyone would call my phone, I'd just act like I couldn't hear them or it wasn't working or whatever the case is. I even told a few guys like, oh, she's with someone right now, maybe in like 30 minutes. And they're like, never mind. I want someone now. And I'm like, perfect. But yeah, I guess he set that price for her, and I was like, girl, this is not $100 to have sex with you for 30 minutes. That is just not, that's a waste of time.
Like the only word I had on here before we started was worth in big fucking letters.
For real.
Like you knew that.
I'm like, no way. Yeah. And especially, and it's crazy because we both were dancers. So I'm like, guys will tip you $100 on the stage before you even take your top off. Like, what are you doing? No way. So yeah, I made her a whole new setup and like it worked for her. But it was crazy to me how she gave him all the money anyways. I was like, why don't you give him money as if you still made $100 each? Hello? I didn't think I had to say that.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
Right. I was like, wow. And then that whole trip, she didn't keep a single dollar. He didn't give her a single dollar. He gave me money. Yeah. He didn't give her a single dollar. I was like, where's the respect?
Was there any like conflict of emotions of like, because it seemed like you're pissed at her for putting you in this position, but you also see the situation she's in, which is sad.
And I thought at that in that moment, I thought that we had some type of friendship or respect for each other. Joke's on me. So I kind of felt bad for her, honestly. I thought she was a victim.
Yeah.
I did. Even in seeing the way things were going, I thought she was like brainwashed. I mean, I've seen pimp and prostitute dynamics plenty of times. And, they sometimes are like that. And so I kind of thought that was her case. I found out later it was not. That's like really something that they did a lot. Like they were partners.
Dance, and then it's
yeah.
we're gonna
I wasn't the first, and I was not the last. Like that was their game. That was what they did.
Did people reach out to you after the story went viral and said like, "Oh, I know Z, I know her."
Absolutely, a lot of women did, and they were like, "He did that to me," and a lot of their stories were like extremely dark, like rape and like sex trafficking on a whole nother level. Like he locked me in a room and guys were just coming in and I had no choice. Like he was a dark person.
But you weren't worried about any of that for you that night?
No, no, it's impossible for me. I don't know. I know that sounds so crazy. It's not impossible. It can happen to anyone. Let me correct myself. But in that moment, in that scenario with those people, no way. He'd have to like have a gun to my head or something. Like no, I had agency over this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about the girls like at the clubs after the story goes viral and all, and thanking you for telling the stories, and definitely like there is a conflict I see on the online where there's all the sex work decrim people who are talking about like, hey, we should like have this decriminalized so we have the right to do what we want with our bodies, right. And then you got the people who want all this still criminalized because they're like going from the trafficking angle and all that. Where do you stand on the conflict of these two causes and movements?
Well, it's weird that people even compare the two. It's like these are two completely different conversations. Sex work is sex work. Sex trafficking is sex trafficking. These are not the same. It's like it's not even a thin line. It's like two completely different. One has consent and one doesn't.
Driving to the bank is driving to the bank, and driving NASCAR is driving NASCAR.
Right.
There's a car involved in both, and that's about it.
Right. So I'm like, I don't know what the confusion is. Obviously, sex trafficking is a conversation that needs to be had, and it's like something that we don't speak on enough, I feel like, and it could happen to anyone. However, sex work is just not that. And I got a lot of like backlash from people who felt like I was glamorizing. And they said this exact term: "You're glamorizing sex work." And I'm like, well, from my perspective, it was pretty fucking glamorous. I mean, we drive really nice cars and we wear Chanel, and I have some really nice clients. Some of them are politicians. I don't know. It's kind of glamorous over here. I don't know. So that's just my experience. Like, I can only speak on my experience, and my sex work experience is pretty glamorous.
Yeah. Can that be difficult to defend that point of view, which I share as well? It's pretty glamorous, but they mean sex trafficking,
right?
But they're using different terminology,
exactly.
And some of them even coming from immense pain. Maybe they've gone through it themselves, but they keep saying like they keep equating the two. Is that tough to like defend one while also affirming the other?
For me, no, because I'm in this realm and I understand the difference, and I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I mean, I was in a situation, not just that one, several times where men have tried to, control my sex work, which completely changes the tone. And I also think, though, it comes from people who are in sex work by choice. The consent is there, but not because it's glamorous for them or they want to. Like, I do also know some people who they have no other option. Maybe they don't have, the education, or they really can't do anything else. And so they kind of feel like that's just what they have to do. And maybe it's not glamorous for them. But so I understand that as well. Mm-hmm. However, again, that's just not my experience. So, it's not difficult for me to support or defend either. I just, I know where I stand. So.
Yeah. What was that not even like, that's the wildest of your stories, I got to imagine.
Absolutely not. And that's what I say.
No, there's not with this. There's what?
No way. If you think
can we have a Zola film series? Can we have like a little MCU of Zola flicks?
So what I'm trying to do right now, actually, I have this concept of a book of like short stories written in the same tone that I tell my stories. So the same type of, language that I wrote the thread in, and I just want to I want to do a book of short stories, just all of my experiences from like 18 to like 24, because they were fucking insane. And I don't know, I think that's like my next go-to. I would really love to do that sometime.
Can you peek something that was possible? I can't imagine what was more wild than that weekend.
It's been so many times. I mean, like, there was this time where I was dancing at home in Detroit. Everything always starts there. That place is insane, okay? And my friend, who's a bartender, she was watching my drink for me. I went to the bathroom, I came back, and she was like, yeah, I saw that guy like put your drink under the table. I'm just letting you know. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Make me another one. So she made me another one, and I went back to the table. I made him think I was drinking it. So now I'm plotting on him. I'm like, how dare you? So I'm like, we should get out of here. And I'm acting all ditzy, like, yeah, we should get out of here. He also had a lot of cash on him, so you know where this is going. I kind of anticipated taking it. So we get in the car, and he's like, yeah, you can come back to my place. I'm like, okay, well, let's do that. So at this point in the car, I like lean my seat all the way back. I'm acting so drunk or drugged or whatever, and he's buying it. And so we end up going, he's told me we're going to his house, and he's like, I'm going to make a quick stop first. I'm like, okay. We're driving for way too long. We're in some shitty neighborhood now, and it's like an apartment complex. And he's like, I'm going to go in. I'm just going to get some weed for us to smoke before we go to my house. And I'm like acting passed out. Like I'm not responding for real. And so he goes inside, and I just got this like gut feeling. I'm like, something's just not right. Like the neighborhood's really sketchy. It's like 2 a.m. I'm like, what's going on? He's in there for like 15, 20 minutes, which feels like a fucking lifetime. And so I just quickly text my friend. I'm like, you should come pick me up. And she's like, okay, sure, send me your location. So I sent it to her, and I got out of the car. I'm like, I'm not going to wait here and see what happens. So I get out of the car.
Is this before or after, by the way, the
after
other story?
This is after.
Because so it's kind of like, I'm not getting involved in this shit again.
No, this is after.
Fool me once.
This is after. I was 18, 19 when that happened. I'm like 20, 21 now. Yeah, because I could drink.
You're experienced now. You
right.
know better.
I'm feeling the energy. I'm like, something's just off. So I text my friend. I get out, and I just walk to the corner, to the like beginning of the subdivision. And I'm sitting there waiting for her. I'm watching the car. And like 4 guys come out with him, and they're like crouched down. Like I said, they think I'm laying down flat in the passenger seat, drugged. Right. So they're crouched down like fucking tigers, like crawling up to the car, and they surround the car. And then they open the door that I would have been in, and they're like, what the fuck? Where is she? And then they're cussing the guy out, the guy who I left with. And he's like, you told us you had a girl for us and blah. And I'm like, I'm just standing at the corner like, what the fuck was I about to get into? Like, what were they about to do to me? We
know what they were going to do to you.
What is going on? And I'm like, oh my God. And they were so upset. They're like pushing each other back and forth. He's like, it was on you tonight. I'm like, tonight?
What, like you were supposed to bring the beers, you were supposed to bring pussy? What?
Right. Oh, yeah. So,
God.
Yeah, that's shit like that. A lot of shit like that happens at the club. A lot.
I mean, like, how many times does something go like that before you go, like, maybe this whole thing is a little, let's get camming,
Right? I don't know.
Was it stories like that made you get out of stripping?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was stuff like that. Because it was like, no matter how smart I moved, whether I'm one up ahead of you or not, it's still, I found myself in these type of situations. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what attracts me and the crazies. But
I mean, maybe it's just the atmosphere of like kind of a strip club.
Yeah, it has to be
in that world.
It has to be, because it's like so many stories like that I have, and so
if this happened 16 or 17 more times, I'm out of here.
It happened like a good 10, and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna try camming. I'm gonna do this from home, and then it worked.
Less risk,
right?
Less risk there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, you find a lot of solidarity with the girls at the clubs when stuff like that maybe goes down?
See, yes and no. It depends. I had my core group. Like, I did have my friends, and we kind of treated it like it almost was like we were sorority sisters in the club. But, a lot of girls, especially the girls that have been there for a while, they like did not, they're like, you're stupid and you're young and you probably shouldn't have been shouldn't have gone anyway. It's like a hit or miss with the girl. Because some girls come to work and they just want to work. They don't want friends. They don't even don't talk to their clients because then it's going to be a problem. It's like some girls like that, but there were a few who we started dancing at the same time. So we always kind of stuck together. But yeah, so a lot of crazy energy in the club.
A lot of crazy energy. That scene is so cinematic.
Yeah.
Like clearly these are all flicks. The idea of them crouching down, like I can see the whole thing.
Insane.
Fling open the door and there's no one there.
It was insane. I couldn't, and I was just watching it like, what? I was 5 minutes from still being in that car. Like, what, they were going to just drag me out and like, oh my God. And he thought I was passed out. So they were going to carry me in the house and just have a night. Like, wow.
It's so fucking sick. But so, and that's the thing is like, I think a lot of, like, especially with the movement for like decriminalizing sex work, there are so many people who want to tell these like positive stories, right?
Yeah.
But like those stories are real. Those are also happening.
Yeah, you have to tell both. So it's like I've had shitty experiences like that, but then I've also had experiences where, Judge What's-His-Face wants to pay me $10,000 to just come to his hotel room and drink drinks, and maybe something happens, maybe it doesn't, but either way, I'm leaving with $10,000.
Look, with the way the state of Michigan is acting these days, I think it would be beneficial if we could ever know who Judge What's-His-Name is. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of politicians. Like, I feel like sex workers could come out and really like save the country a little bit and really start being like, hey, here are our clients.
Oh, I really could.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just in massive. Like, we got Lindsey Graham, sure, but if we could en masse just out all the fucks.
Listen, I could. The list is long.
Well, what's a good story that you've had? What's a good experience you've had doing that?
A good experience I've had. I took a trip out to. I was in Florida, but we went to Miami. Florida's crazy.
Miami, great. Tampa, not so much.
Right. And this guy, he was a doctor, or he is a doctor, and he was just really sweet. Like, he flew me out. He introduced me to a girlfriend of his who was a dancer. She and I ended up dancing at what was the club? It was like the Gold Room or something like that, downtown Miami. And it was just a great time. Like, he took us out after, and we went to Club Live. Floyd Mayweather was there. I was like, oh, this is the glamorous side of it that I was telling you about. And we just had so much fun. And then we went back to his room after, and we had like the world's greatest threesome. And
sorry, let's rewind. What entails a world's greatest threesome?
Oh yeah, so
for a lot of people, they're just happy to have a threesome.
Right.
I've actually noticed as having a brand that's whorish, I find people in disbelief of the concept of having in your life multiple threesomes.
That's insane. See, a threesome's like so normal for me. I have them all the time.
Yeah, they're a good time.
Yeah,
a good play party, a threesome, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, let's do stuff.
It makes sense.
Someone explained it once really great. He was like, some sex educator was giving a talk, and he was all like, look, if you want to have a threesome, all you need is 3 people. So if you and someone else wants to have a threesome, you just need to get one other person.
Right.
Like, he said it. So like, yeah, of course, just get another person.
So simple. Yeah, we had a great time. And he liked, chains and whips. And so she and I, we like tied him up, and it was really cute. It was a great time. We beat his ass, and then we had great sex.
Amazing.
So that was like probably one of my favorite out of town sex work experiences. And he paid us $10,000. So like, I got paid $10,000 to whoop a guy's ass, have great sex with him and this girl who he introduced me to, and we made money at the club. I was like good for months.
Is it a bonus when like the client like is also good in bed? I imagine It's not frequent.
Yes, it's not frequent. Usually it's all me, from my experience at least. It's like they're just, kind of I'm at work. Okay. Yeah. So I'm really not looking for it to be like mind blowing or anything. As long as I'm getting what I'm asking for, yeah. I'm content. But when it is good, I'm like, I hope he comes back.
Give you a discount.
Right.
So there's one of the guys in this story is the boyfriend of this chick, and played by Cousin Greg in the movie, which is brilliant. It's just Cousin Greg in stud earrings. You know what I mean? It was just like a lower income Cousin Greg. Yeah. Did you watch the session?
I don't.
You
I
don't?
don't.
Oh, you
Everyone
need
keeps
to.
telling me.
Watch some random episodes just to watch that actor. His
Okay.
character is such a dope, but it's the same guy,
Yeah.
but with more money.
Yeah.
It's that
Okay.
guy with family wealth.
Okay.
It's just he's the same dope. So when he shows up on screen, we've watched a few years of Succession. We're like, oh my god, it's the
Everyone
fucking
kept
guy.
saying Cousin Greg, Cousin Greg. I'm like, I need to watch it.
You'll watch and you'll be like, oh, they did perfect casting on that guy.
He killed it.
He crushed
He
that.
killed it.
But he's kind of this dopey boyfriend who can't get over that he's dating, an escort. He can't get over
Yeah.
it, right? Have you had? And so his name's Jarrett. It's like,
Yeah.
have you had a Jarrett in your life?
I kind of think I'm married a Jarrett in a way.
Oh,
Yeah, my ex-husband, he was. It's crazy because we've known each other since middle school.
the one you fucked calm.
The one,
As
yeah,
you
that
phrased it.
guy.
I was
Yes,
like, that's a way to phrase it.
Yes. So our entire dating history, I was a sex worker. I was a stripper. He knew. I mean, he came to my job. Everything was, and then we got married, and it's like he thought somehow making me a wife, I was gonna instantly just be like, okay, sex work's done. But I'm like, that's my job. That's what I like doing. I enjoy what I do. So I don't know why he thought that. I don't know, but he kind of became I guess jealous in a way. He's like, can you do anything else besides work at the club? And I'm like, I've been working at this club for 4 years and now you're upset. So he just couldn't get over it. And then he was in denial about it for a while. And maybe that's why we just didn't work out, I think. And
She
then
dances ballroom. What are you talking about, man?
Right. He was just like, no way. And then I post content. I started posting content online. And when I do my live shows, there was this one time he was so upset. I did a live show. And I actually had this recording block. You could not record, but I don't know, people get through barriers. And someone recorded the entire show. It was an hour long, the entire show, and posted it online. I was so pissed. It was on X videos or Pornhub or some shit. It took months for me to get it down, but it's gone now. So he's seen it. He was just watching porn. He was just, doing his thing. And he came across it and he was so mad. He came in the room and he's like, you put your porn on Pornhub. I thought you were just doing dancing online. And I was like, yeah, you knew. So you thought I was in there moaning because I was dancing? Okay. Sure.
Whatever you gotta tell yourself.
Sure.
So then, how'd that relationship finally end?
He just, I don't know, it's insecurities. He started assuming I was cheating on him when, like I said, I left the club and was doing everything online at that point. So I wasn't even meeting clients face to face anymore. It was none of that. I would communicate with them. I mean, FaceTime and talk, and that's what they want.
You have to do it.
That's my job.
What am I gonna do? Not that's how we close a deal.
Right.
We make you think we're so interested, and then you close it. Right. If it's just all business tone, you think I'd make good money? No.
Right. And so he just didn't like it.
I
He's
say me, what am I talking about?
He just didn't like it, and he started thinking I'm like, I can't cheat on you with a guy who's paying for me to go on a date. I'm not cheating, I'm working. So he started calling it cheating, and one thing after another. And then one day I was just minding my business in our home, and there was a knock at the door, and they're like, here's divorce papers. And I was like, babe, we're getting divorced? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, so that's how that went.
How'd you feel about that?
It was kind of shitty. I was like, we weren't going to talk about it. You weren't going to tell me. Mind you, he's in the kitchen making dinner.
Yeah.
Me and our kids sitting here watching TV. It's like a normal day. I'm just answering the door, and they're like, yeah, you've been served. I'm like, wait, what? It was... but it was a wake up call, I guess. I'm like, okay.
I mean, were you more upset about him wanting to get divorced, or just the way in which he served you?
I was upset about the way in which he served me, but also it's we hadn't even talked in depth. He said he voiced what he didn't like, and I was kind of like, well, that's not changing. And I guess that was just it for him, because I'm like, there was no compromising. But sex work is such a big part of me. It's I found my sexuality through sex work. I'm comfortable in sex work. It's all my friends are sex workers.
I'm also the Zola.
Right. It's come on. You knew this. So now you want me to just change my entire way of living, basically, to cater to you and your male ego? I can't do it. So it was really the way in which he did it. It's like there was no conversation. There was no, why, I can't do. If you just would have said, I really can't do it, then okay, I'm not going to hold you hostage. In a marriage, you're not happy. However, you just served me at our home. Like, can you give me a chance to get an apartment or something? Like, what is going on? But yeah, it was a really shitty way to do it.
And how have you dated since then?
Oh, I've dated just fine.
Yeah?
I was single. I was, I went through the depressive mourning ex-wife stage for about a year. And then they got a new relationship, had another baby. Everything was good. Now she's just dating. She's just, I'm kind of a serial dater these days. Yeah, she's dating. She's a bachelorette.
Yeah? So do you have someone now?
I have a couple someones now.
Sorry. She's the bachelor. Or you? Wait, you're the bachelor.
Yeah,
okay, yeah. You got some someones.
Yeah, I have some someones. No one's like. I think I have my favorite. I have my eye on who could possibly be the one to call my boyfriend, but I'm just dating.
And they're
like
all
the
chill?
way I date is like as a single chick, it's like. You date a couple, and see who you like the most. That's how you date. So that's the stage I'm in right now.
What do you like about the front runner?
So we understand each other like artistically. He's an artist, so we relate when it comes to music and fashion and and then he got involved in my sex work with me. We make content together.
Is he the dick I saw him probably recently?
Yeah, and it's such a pretty one. I think that also adds to it. He's like my favorite dick right now. It's great. I was like, we got to get this on camera. Yeah. He was like, okay.
I'll fill out the paperwork.
Yeah. He was like, no problem. I'm like, okay.
What do you like about the most dark horse candidate? What's like the one thing he's got going for him that keeps him in the mix?
He's rich. He's the richest one. I really want to cross him out, but because he's so arrogant, he thinks he knows like everything. It's like every conversation with him is a debate. I'm like, I'm not debating with you. Like, I'm telling you, every time we talk, we both end up on Google. Like, that's the dumbest shit. Like, he'll tell me something like, and I'm like, it's not illegal to do whatever stupid shit he just said. And now I'm on Google. Is it illegal to drive with your lights on? It's like the dumbest shit. He's just like, thinks he's a walking encyclopedia, and I hate that. But he is a walking bank. So I have to deal with it. Unfortunately.
Does that go in is like walking bank, like he'll just give you cash, or is this like he just gets you stuff? Like how do you negotiate that?
He just gives me cash.
You ask like, hey babe, can I get a grand?
If anything I ask for, he gives it to me. So it's like, how mad can I really be? Anything. It doesn't matter how ridiculous it is. I asked not too long ago, I'm like, can you pay for me and my friends? We want to go on a trip. And he's like, sure. Where do you guys want to go? And I'm like, we want to go. Where did we end up going? We went to LA. I'm like, we want to go to LA. It was someone's birthday or whatever the case. And I'm like, I'm not paying for it. Like, and I'm like, can you just get us an Airbnb, get our flights, get us a car,
Is he going?
And right. And he goes, sure. What day do I need to take off work? I said, oh, no. It's just me and the girls. And he's like, sure. I'm like, oh my goodness.
No.
There's no pushback. But then you want to fucking argue about whether or not it's illegal to ride a giraffe in Texas. It's like, get it together.
It feels like a little bit of just Richard Jarrett energy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, okay, fine. But I'm going to hold on to his resentment. It's going to come out with me want to jump off a balcony.
Then we came back. It's like, I won't hear the end of it. But he keeps doing it. So I'm like, you like it.
Is there any part of him like you like do you enjoy his or do you view this more as a client than a boyfriend or than a guy you're seeing?
It's like somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like my definition of what like a sugar daddy would be.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in the middle. Because he's not a client. We do go out. We have fun when we go out. But he's like I'm not like, ooh, I love you. Be my, like, no way. No.
And how does the front runner feel about all that?
I'm not quite sure. They don't know about each other in depth.
Until
they
now?
They know they're not the only ones, but they don't know
Blinders
who
on.
is who.
blinders. They don't want.
Yeah,
they're like,
I don't
just
think they
wanna see
want
it."
to know. They don't need to know.
Mhm.
They don't need to know.
Are you a monogamous person?
When I'm in a relationship, yes. Right now, no.
Well, yeah. I mean, like when we're in something committed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When something's committed, absolutely. But like right now, it's like no. Just like no.
Yeah.
No, she's like I said, I'm serial dating, so I'm serial fucking too. Just come test it, and we're good. We're good to go.
How'd you feel about the portrayal of you in the flick?
I love crazy story. We as in Janixa and myself, the director, and myself, we like had our eyes set on Taylor separately and didn't even know.
What'd you see her in?
So, I watched Hit the Floor. I was a huge Hit the Floor fan. Okay. So that's how I even knew who she was. That was my introduction to Taylor Page. That's how I, recognized her. However, when the story ended up going viral, I don't know. Oh, you said you didn't see the thread itself first.
Not at the time. Yeah.
At that point, people were, Twitter, they were casting the film already.
There's not even a film
there was
yet.
no film, but they were casting it. And so people who were to play me, it was like Keke Palmer, I saw her a lot. Megan Good, I saw a lot.
Good.
I saw and then they put Taylor Page, and I just fell in love with. They did one. It was Taylor Page, Idris Elba, the white chick who was in.
Idris would have done well in that. I mean, I love Domingo in that. He's one of those actors. You see him in shit, you never know his name, but he's excellent all the time.
Amazing.
But Idris would have.
Yeah, they had Idris, and then for Jess, they had I forget her name. I hate that I always forget her name, but she was in Hustle and Flow, the white girl. She with the braids in that movie. I forget her name, but she plays a very
Text your sugar daddy. He'll argue with you about who it was.
Right. So, and when that cast, I like fell in love with. I was like, ooh, if it's ever a thing, I want it to look like that. But that's when I saw Taylor Page, and I was like, yeah. And I just never got it out of my brain. So then, to my surprise, Janixa like seen Taylor at a party, and she was just like, that's it. That's my Zola. That's Zola. And so Taylor didn't even know like what Janixa was thinking or doing, but Janixa's like sneaking pictures of her. She's like, that's Zola. And Taylor's like, what the fuck are you doing? But that's how that happened. And then when Janixa told me, she's like, I think Taylor's coming in to audition. Taylor told me actually, she's like, I'm auditioning to play you. I hope you're okay with that. And I was like, girl, I'm not taking no for an answer. Like, it's done. And so I ended up telling Janixa and like everybody else, I'm like, I don't want nobody else. Like she's auditioned. I hope she gets it. Like, I'm telling you.
Because otherwise we're going to have a fight.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want nobody else. And they're like, well, we still have auditions. I'm like, I don't care.
Exactly. Because there's something about you, Zola, that like you're going to get what you want.
Yes.
And people, again, and maybe this is what Z saw as well, is like, we can't argue with this.
No.
Like, you're gonna figure out how you're getting yours.
I was like, it's done. It's completely done. And then I saw the list of people who did audition. And it was a good list. It was some very, very great actresses. However, I said, Taylor, I want Taylor. Bring me Taylor. And it was Taylor. So she did good. I think she really, and we got really close over the course of her, I guess, studying me. We ended up, she's like my soul sister, I call her, but we got so close. She really wanted to, do me justice, and she did. It's like in the face with me. It's my facial expressions, and she like nailed it. So I'm so happy with how she did.
Yeah. And what are you looking forward to in the future? This is, the movie is great, and like people keep talking about it. So it's like, what now? It's such a good position to parlay into the next stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I would love this concept of all of my sexcapades, I call them, in book form and in film form. I guess I'm good at writing. Let me find out. Yeah. So to my surprise, I would love to continue doing that. I'm still very much an artist of all sorts. So I have my music, and I'm always going to do my sex work always. I don't care. Yeah. It's not going anywhere.
You don't think like doing OnlyFans is, look, I'm already like, am I never going to be on Comedy Central because like I showed my butthole?
No
is that
way.
Gonna be a problem?
That's not a problem at all. Barriers have been broken down. Okay. And that's why I was so happy. Another thing with the film and casting, they didn't tell me that They know I'm a die-hard T.S. Madison stan. I love T.S. Madison. She is like, I call her my fairy godmother.
Okay.
I love her. I've always loved her. And so they didn't tell me, they as in Janixa and Jeremy and everyone who worked on the film, they didn't tell me that she was, they did not tell me. So the first time I seen it at a private screening out in LA, it was just us. They were showing me for the first time ever. And she popped up on the screen and I was like, oh my God, it's T.S. Madison. And so now to just see her journey over time, I mean, see where she started in porn and then now here she is and she has her talk show and she's in my movie and she's doing so many other things. It's like, I've always kind of looked up to her. So that's not a problem. No. Yeah. Like I said, those barriers are broken. We're done with the stigmas. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What like if there's one story that could like become a movie next, if there was a next Zola movie and Taylor's gonna go off and be you on the next escapade, which one would you want it to be? What would be like the pitch line?
Oh man, probably there was a time, and it was shortly after that as well. And I like how Janixa ended up like kind of leaving a cliffhanger because that wasn't even the end. Like you saw, the thread continued after that. So,
because they didn't get into the Vegas story where like they get caught in Vegas and they were trying to traffic more chicks.
I wasn't there. No, they did traffic more chicks.
No, I said, they tried to traffic more chicks. Yeah. And then they all got caught.
Right. And so we didn't, they didn't get into that. So, but when I got home and I did eventually go back to work, and it was like, I was maybe back at work for like 2 weeks and I had one of the most terrifying, even more terrifying than that, with this guy who I actually went by myself. I don't know why I always do crazy things by myself. Like I went with this guy by myself and he convinced me, he gave me like $5,000 to leave the club. So he's like, hey, you should come with me. I'm going to go to this party after. And I'm like, why not? And he's like, what would you make if you stayed at work? And I'm like, I'd make at least $2,000 tonight. And he's like, I'll give you $5 if you leave right now. And I was like, what? So I ended up leaving with him. But this party that he was supposed to be taking me to, we ended up driving like 2-3 hours away from the city, from where I live, where I work. And it's like, I don't know why I didn't speak up. I don't know, maybe because I was young. I don't know. But I didn't even I wasn't like, get me out of this car, turn around. I just let him drive me 3 hours somewhere. And that experience in itself, I won't give it all away, but where we went and what happened, it was like it was very weird. It was that his name was RJ. I'll never forget it for as long as I live. That was terrifying. So yeah, he had me in a place. It was like a huge mansion. He tells me it's a party. It wasn't a party. It wasn't an ordinary party.
Ooh.
And I ended up not it was insane. I don't even know how to continue. It's like, I don't want to give
already there. It's a man pays you $5,000 to drive you 3 hours to a party that ends up not being a party. Yeah, boom. I'm in. I'll buy a ticket.
Listen, it was insane. So yeah, that shit. That would be a good one. That would look good.
That is wild. That is wild. Do you have an extra 10-ish minutes? Okay. I thought it'd be interesting. I wanted to ask you maybe about how to know your worth in a variety of ways, whether it's pussy in life or et cetera, in relationships. Okay. But for now, Patreon people, you all can hear that tomorrow. But for now, Zola, where can people go find you?
So Instagram, it's at Zolar Moon, ZOLAR Moon. Twitter, same. It's the same thing, Zolar Moon. And then my OnlyFans, same, Zolar Moon with an underscore at the end. And that's all the places I am. And then my music's on iTunes. Just look up Zola. It's there. I have a little EP right now. More will be coming. And that's how you can find me.
Keep following. Go check out the movie Zola. I think it's available now. You can stream it if you want. I saw it in theater, great on a big screen.
Yes.
But watch the movie. It was one of my favorites to see in the post-quar. I was very happy. It was one of the only movies I've seen before Omicron hit. And then I was like, fuck, this was so good. And if you like sex work story, it's just amazing. Even if you don't know anything about, if you don't know a hoe in your life, you will love.
I feel like there's something in there for everybody.
It's a thriller comedy. Yeah. It's amazing. And then follow her on those places so we can see the next big thing. But Patreon people, I got a bonus out for you tomorrow. For now, Zola, why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Thank you for having me. Bye, you guys.
okay, don't lie. You're at least just a little bit inspired by Zola, by Asia King, by this stripper rock star. Come on now. Wow. If you want to learn more from the woman, we got a bonus episode coming out exclusively on Patreon tomorrow. We're talking all about how to know your worth. And we're not just talking about dollar signs. Knowing your worth is about not just money, but it's about power. It's about influence. My $5 and up fan whores on Patreon, you get access to over 200 bonus episodes of the Man Whore podcast. You get the Zola one talking about knowing your worth. You get the Venus Cuckoldress bonus episode where we're just talking about bulls. And you even get the bonus episode recapping my Jamaica sex trip with my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend. Kind of weird. We'll talk about it later. So get access to any and all of that and support the podcast that you love at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/ you know what the deal is. What'd you think about this week's episode? You know, I mean, Zola is famously on Twitter. I am way less famously on Twitter. We both love checking out those notifications. Shoot us a tweet. Let us know what you thought about the pod. I'm at the Billy Presida. She's at _Zola R Moon. And again, the movie Zola, like if you haven't seen it, it's on Hulu, it's on Showtime. I think you can even rent it on Amazon. Have you been wanting access to a sex-positive community of like-minded individuals? Well, then look no further than the Champagne Room, our wonderful free Discord server. Join us in any one of our channels, including the episode discussion channel, and introduce yourself today at manwhorepod.com/Discord. It's a damn good time. One member, randomly, just super low-key dropped the information that, like, he used to be able to suck his own dick. We all had questions. If you want to share your comments, your questions, your reactions, your titty pictures, any and all that is welcome at manwhorepod@gmail.com. You may just hear your email on the show. Last but certainly not least, look, Zola, you should be on her OnlyFans. Okay, we get it. You think she's a hottie, go pay for her OnlyFans. Do you also think I'm a hottie? You do? Well, you're wrong, but if you're wrong, come on over. It's free to follow at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. Next week, y'all are in for quite the fucking treat. Next week, I have got on the OG MILF, nailing Sarah Palin herself. Next week, you're going to hear me chat with Lisa Ann. Strap the fuck in and stay slutty. Are you looking to start a podcast? Want to use audio as a marketing tool for your small business? Enjoy free credits when you use my promo code BILLY at Libsyn.com. That's Libsyn, Libsyn.com, or click the link in the show notes.